The conference room felt colder than the data center. Fluorescent panels hummed overhead, a flat white glare bouncing off glass and chrome. Outside the windows, San Francisco glittered in early evening. All promise and money and people who still had jobs. Inside it was just me, a cardboard box and 3 people who wanted me gone. HR sat across from me, tablet in front of her like a small shield. To her left, the CFO, Barker, kept his hands folded, eyes on a printed spreadsheet. At the far end of the table, leaning back like this was mildly boring theater, was Cade Reynolds, CEO. The man who had been trying to get rid of me for 3 years. Mr. Hartman, HR began, voice calm. As of today, Nimbus has decided to terminate your employment, effective immediately. I watched her mouth move around the words, detached, like I was debugging a lip sync issue. You're serious, I said. Cade smiled without warmth. We're entering a new phase, Ray. Nimbus is stable now. Nimbus 3 launched. Platform is mature. We don't need heavy architecture anymore. We need agility. Barker cleared his throat and slid a printed chart across the table. My name was a line item halfway down. Your total compensation package is significant, he said. Given our current headcount and the need to show discipline to the street, the board feels this is the most strategic place to cut. We're sunsetting legacy roles. Legacy? Nothing ages faster than the person who built the foundation. You're cutting the guy who designed the OS core, I said quietly. That's not discipline. That's brain damage. HR shot me a sympathetic look that was too practiced to be real. This isn't a reflection of your contributions, she said. The company is grateful. Grateful, Cade repeated, and done. Nimbus runs. The AR layer is live. We're shifting focus to brand, partnerships, creator tools. You built a great engine. Now we need people who can drive. He liked metaphors he didn't understand. Or people who don't scare you, I said. He stiffened, just for a second. Cade hated being challenged in front of anyone, even HR. You're not being fired for personality conflict, HR cut in quickly. This is a strategic restructuring. Right, I said. You finished the house, so you fire the structural engineer and hope the foundation doesn't crack. That's not what this is, Barker said, but he didn't sound convinced. He glanced at his spreadsheet instead of my face. We have to show margin expansion. Your line item alone. Your badge access will be disabled momentarily, HR said. We scheduled this at the end of the day to give you privacy. Security can escort you if you'd like. Of course, Cade added, lips curling. Or we trust you to behave like a professional on your way out. My badge vibrated on my belt. A tiny haptic buzz, then silence. The lock on the conference room door clicked as my credentials died. It was efficient. I had to give them that. Through the glass, I saw Chairman Nicholas Beyer walking past, surrounded by 2 legal aides and a VP of policy. Dark suit, perfect tie, the slow, heavy step of someone who thinks time is his pet. He didn't look in. He didn't need to. He had signed off on this days ago. Any questions? HR asked softly. Sure, I said. Who do you call when the thing I warned you about detonates? They looked at one another. Cade's smile returned, thinner this time. We're confident Nimbus will be fine. That was what scared me most. He meant it. I slid the printed spreadsheet back across the table. Well, I said, standing, then you won't need me. The cardboard box waited by the door. Apparently, 10 years of my life fit inside it. I picked it up and walked out. No one tried to stop me. The open office went quiet when I stepped onto the floor. Screens glowed. Keyboards clattered. The low hum of air handlers filled the silence between them. But conversation stopped in a visible wave. Heads bent lower. People suddenly fascinated by their own code. Corporate survival rule. If you see a man being marched to the gallows, don't wave. The rope might swing your way next. I walked past the graphics pod, then the AR experience team. The walls were lined with framed headlines. Nimbus, the OS that eats reality. The future is overlaid. Hartman's law, if it can sync, Nimbus owns it. My name was still on 3 of them. I wondered how long it would take them to replace the frames. Maybe they would reprint the articles with the quotes trimmed. My name swapped for a Nimbus engineer. A cluster of junior devs in one corner pretended not to stare. I caught fragments anyway. They said he fought the roadmap. Beyer wanted him out for months. Dude's comp was insane. They'll hire 5 of us for that. Someone muttered, overrated. CEO runs the company, not some old architect. Old. I was 38. Ray. I turned. Marcus stood by the pillar near the kitchen, jaw clenched, eyes blazing in that way he only got when something was so stupid it hurt his brain. They really did it, he said. Those idiots actually did it. Apparently Nimbus is done, I said. We shipped God. Now they just need apostles. He stared at me like I had confessed to a crime. They're firing the guy who understands the sync core better than anyone on the planet, he said, voice low and fast. Do they know what's in there? What we still haven't refactored? Barker knows my salary, I said. Cade knows he hates being contradicted in meetings. Buyer knows Wall Street likes charts that slope up and to the right. That's enough. He stepped closer. You told them about the old sync layer, right? About the cluster drift? The transient linkage bug? Documented, logged, presented, ignored. Marcus swore under his breath. In the early days, Nimbus had been duct tape and brilliance, a hacked-together AROS built by 6 people who didn't know impossible yet. The first sync layer that kept overlays stable across millions of devices was my code, written in 47 sleepless days fueled by ramen and rage. It worked. Mostly. We scaled. Too fast. By Series D, I had been pushing to replace it. We had started rolling out the new architecture in isolated regions. The old layer was still running underneath a third of the system, a rusting skeleton under a new skin. We had logged the risk, filed the reports, warned them what happens when old and new arbitration disagreed at the wrong moment. But fixing foundations doesn't show up in launch trailers. You can't just leave it like this, Marcus said. You know where the bodies are buried. Not my graveyard anymore, I said. But the words tasted wrong. I knew it. He knew it. We both remembered the prototype failure in the lab 2 years ago, when 2 different AR maps had overlapped and tried to claim the same space, causing a cascade that locked 300 test devices and wiped 6 clients' demo layouts. We had contained it. We hadn't forgotten it. You know what Cade told the board last quarter? Marcus whispered. He said Nimbus is feature complete at the platform level. From here, it's just iteration. I laughed once, sharp. Cade thinks an OS is a movie premiere, I said. Cut the ribbon, roll the trailer, collect awards. It's not even about that, Marcus said. He wants you gone. He's been gunning for you since you called him on that moonshot demo fake. He meant the all hands 3 years ago when Cade had staged a real-time city-scale AR demo that was actually pre-rendered sequences keyed to a hidden offline environment. Investors don't need to know how the sausage is made, Cade had said then, in front of the whole company. It's not sausage, I had said. It's surgery. And you just faked a transplant. The room had laughed. Cade hadn't. So yeah, I said now. He finally got me. High salary, bad attitude, legacy role. Neatly packaged. Marcus swallowed hard. You know what this means, right? Yeah, I said. It means my box is getting heavier. No, he hissed. It means the only person who really understands how the new sync layer talks to the old one won't be here when it tears itself apart. I looked at him for a long moment. The thing about designing something no one else fully understands is that you also see how it fails before anyone else believes it can. I left them instructions, I said. Instructions, he repeated. They don't follow instructions, Ray. They follow quarterly targets. I couldn't argue. A notification pinged on my laptop screen as we passed a workstation. Security had already moved my company email to a deactivated folder. My face photo on Circle, our internal network, had a gray border around it now. Digital obituary. I'm sorry, Marcus said. His voice softened. You deserved better. No, I said, shifting the box in my arms. The system deserved better. I'll be fine. He didn't look convinced. As I reached the elevator, he called after me. If when it goes sideways, they'll try to blame you. I know, I said. Don't let them. The sky outside was too bright for the way my career had just ended. California did that sunshine at a funeral. I stood on the curb with my cardboard box, waiting for a rideshare, when my phone buzzed. Olivia Kent. I thumbed it on. You're fired, she said without preamble. You called HR? I asked. I read the market calendar, she said. Gridlock week, product stable, big comp package on the books. It was either you or 5 VPs. And VPs go golfing with buyer. That accurate, yeah, Tanan. Stay where you are, she said. Don't get in a lift. I'm 2 blocks out. Olivia, I'm fine. The line went dead. She never argued twice when she had made up her mind. 8 minutes later, her silver Tesla slid into the loading zone like it owned the curb. The passenger door popped open. She stepped out, took one look at me, and took the box out of my hands without asking. They even give you the standard Amazon special, she said. Nice. Maybe I should be grateful they didn't just dump my stuff in the lobby. They deleted 10 years of your life with 1 calendar invite, she said. They don't get gratitude. She put the box in the trunk, ushered me into the passenger seat, and buckled in like she was strapping me onto a recovery cot. As she pulled into traffic, she glanced over. What did they say? Restructuring, I said. Platforms mature. Need to streamline high-cost architecture. Cade needs more room for his vision. Her mouth tightened. And buyer? Didn't even slow down. She exhaled through her nose. I told you the moment Nimbus 3 shipped, they'd convinced themselves they were done, she said. They think software is a movie trilogy. Part 1, numero 2, 3. Roll credits. They're not technically wrong, I said. The story does end. Just not where they think. She gave me a sideways look. What are you not saying? I watched the city slide by street after street overlaid with Nimbus billboards. People moved under a forest of glowing AR signage. Lenses flickering, heads-up displays whispering directions and ads and notifications. Anything that complex, I said, either evolves or rots. Cade thinks he shipped a monument. What he actually shipped is a living organism with an autoimmune disorder. In English, there's a bug in the foundation, I said quietly. Several, really. We translated a barely contained prototype into a global-scale OS and painted over the cracks for 2 years. The old sync layer and the new one aren't just different code. They have different assumptions about time, distance, authority. When they disagree, reality flickers. She frowned. But you've been rolling out the new one. Replacing the old architecture, right? Region by region, I said. Tested, validated, controlled. But we never got full coverage. The board wanted global parity for Q3 numbers. Cade promised them we're already there. And we're not. Not even close. Did you tell them? Yes. And? They fired me, I said. She drove in silence for a moment. Then she said very quietly, then they deserve what's coming. Insomnia hit around 2 a.m. I lay in my apartment, staring at the pattern of city light on the ceiling, hearing phantom server alarms in the silence. After 20 minutes of this, I got up, made coffee I didn't need, and opened my laptop. By some oversight or delay in the deprovision script, my credentials still worked on Circle, the internal platform that had replaced email the moment Nimbus could pretend email was obsolete. The front page was a carousel of trending threads, company memes, celebratory posts about recent partnerships. At the top, pinned and highlighted in orange, farewell to a new era. Today we say goodbye to a chapter at Nimbus. Leadership has made the difficult decision to part ways with former chief architect Raymond Hartman. My face stared back at me from a sideways photo taken at a hackathon years ago. I looked tired, defiant. The caption underneath, sometimes innovation requires hard choices. We are grateful for Ray's work in the early days of Nimbus. As our platform matures, we must evolve our team structure to move faster and smarter. Comments cascaded beneath it. Wish him well. Onward and upward. Excited for what's next under Cade's vision. And then further down, threaded more deeply a different tone. Honestly thought he was slowing us down. Old guard always fights change. Buyer built this company, not some coder. Old guard. Legacy. Slowing them down. They had borrowed the language straight from Cade. I scrolled. A new hashtag was taking shape, half ironic, half cruel. Hashtag good riddance, Ray. Someone had posted a meme of Thanos snapping his fingers and half the codebase disappearing, with my face photoshopped onto the dust. Underneath, someone had replied, now we can finally ship things without being told they're reckless or architecturally unsound. Laughing emoji. My chest felt tight and hollow at the same time. Above the noise, a direct message icon pulsed. I clicked. Marcus, I'm so sorry. They blindsided us. They're saying Nimbus is feature complete. They actually use those words. Another message from an older engineer in infra ops. They're already talking about consolidating the sync clusters, cutting the rollout schedule. I'm not allowed in the room when they decide. And a third from a junior dev I barely remembered. For what it's worth, everything I know about building systems that don't fall over, I learned from your code reviews. Thank you. Somewhere in the feed, a curated highlight reel of Cade's keynotes auto-loaded. His face filled the screen, perfect hair, expensive smile. Our mission is simple, he said. Own reality. Everywhere, for everyone. He had always liked simple. As I scrolled, a new notification popped up, system-wide. Nimbus 3 stability milestone met. As of 1700 PST, Nimbus 3 has passed all internal SLOs for latency and reliability. Effective immediately, we are consolidating architecture and platform roles to support our next phase of growth, creator monetization, and brand partnerships. My eyes froze on one sentence. Effective immediately, we are consolidating architecture and platform roles. In practice, fire the people who kept the walls from caving in. A smaller update arrived from Infra Ops a few minutes later, in the on-call war room channel I had lived in for half my career. Beginning global sync layer migration tonight. Per directive from CEO and board, we are accelerating rollout of new sync layer to all remaining regions. Full cutover scheduled within 48 hours to align with Q3 metrics. Change approval references Cade Reynolds, Nicholas Barker. I stared at those names. We had planned that migration over 6 months. They were going to do it in 2 days. And the only person who understood exactly how the old and new layers would fight each other under that kind of pressure had been walked out 12 hours ago with a cardboard box. To them, that was the point. Nimbus 3 was done. Legacy roles were bloat. I was a cost center with opinions. I closed the laptop. For 30 seconds, I stood in the dark kitchen, hearing the faint whir of the fridge, the distant siren several blocks away. Then I opened the laptop again. If they wanted to pull the pin, that was their choice. But I wasn't going to let them blame me when the grenade went off. I logged into my personal secure storage and began pulling old files. Slide decks from risk reviews. Emails that had somehow survived the migration from email to Circle. Screenshots of internal threads where I had spelled out in painstaking detail exactly what would happen if we did what they were about to do. I wasn't planning a lawsuit. Not yet. I was building a record. Not for the SEC, not for the press, for myself. So when the collapse came and I would be able to watch with both hands clean. It took 36 hours. Not for the bug to surface, for Cade to notice. The bug surfaced in the first 30 minutes. I didn't see the early alarms in real time. I wasn't on the paging rotation anymore. But systems that large leave traces in the outside world. The first hint came from a public forum for AR developers, where someone posted a video from Tokyo. In the clip, a user walked through Shinjuku wearing Nimbus lenses. The overlays jittered for a second, then split. 2 different sets of AR signage fought for the same streetscape. One anchored to the real storefronts, one anchored to ghost positions that lagged by about half a block. Ad banners overlapped, flickering out of phase. Directional arrows pointed into walls. The user laughed it off at first. Nimbus drunk tonight. The comments weren't as cheerful. Seeing this in Seoul too. London overlays lagging like crazy. Navigation sent me into a loading dock. In New York, a courier posted 3 hours later that Nimbus's AR directions had routed him the wrong way down a one-way street. The overlay arrows insisted he was fine. The real truck that hit the side of his bike disagreed. By the next morning, a trending hashtag had appeared, Nimbus glitch. Someone cut a compilation AR billboards spasming, ghost crosswalks, restaurant menus floating 6 meters above their actual doors. It was funny until someone overlaid the clip of the courier in the hospital. I watched it all from my couch, barefoot, with yesterday's coffee reheated in the microwave. The OS wasn't crashing. It was worse. It was confidently wrong. When sync arbitration failed between the old and new layers, Nimbus didn't say, "I don't know where you are." It said, "I know exactly where you are," and lied. That's the thing about foundations. They don't crack loudly. They just quietly misalign everything built on top. By noon, the jokes turned to anger. Advertisers noticed first. A luxury brand in Paris posted screenshots showing their AR flagship, painstakingly designed to sit elegantly over their Rue Saint-Honoré store, now half embedded in a discount shoe outlet 2 blocks down. "We pay 8 figures annually for this placement," their CEO wrote. "We do not pay to be glued to a bargain bin." A fast food chain in Chicago complained their mascot balloon kept appearing inside competitor locations. Users posted gleeful videos. Lawyers made notes. By 3p. The business press had caught the scent. Nimbus facing AR stability problems after architect ousted? Nimbus 3 rollout too aggressive? Has AR reached its Theranos moment? They loved that last one. They had been waiting years to use it on something. Inside Nimbus, the war rooms spun up. I wasn't in them, but I knew the choreography. I had choreographed it. On-call rotations fired. Incident channels filled. A slew of investigating and mitigating tags appeared at the top of the public status page, written by someone in PR who had no idea what any of the words meant. They would throw more servers at it. They always did. They would roll back specific regions. They would fiddle with thresholds, kill caches, restart clusters, all the usual rituals. It wouldn't matter. This wasn't a capacity issue. It wasn't a bad deploy that could be rolled back cleanly. It was exactly what I had predicted in a risk review 18 months earlier. Partial migration, conflicting world models, and an acceleration order from leadership that ignored the one column on the timeline labeled safety. By evening, stock had dropped 8%. Buyer would be on the phone with Barker by now, demanding calm guidance and reassurance messaging. Cade would be pacing in front of a wall of screens, eyes flicking between graphs and sentiment charts. In a corner, TV streaming cable news talking heads, speculating about the end of AR. My phone rang at 8:13 p. N-E-U-M. Unknown number, Bay area code. I knew who it was before I picked up. Ray, Cade said. His voice sounded like it had been sandpapered. I thought Nimbus was stable, I said. Silence for a beat. We're experiencing some anomalies in certain regions, he said. We're on top of it. I can see that, I said, glancing at a fresh video from Sao Paulo, where crosswalk AR signals were blinking green in 2 directions at once. How many incident channels are you up to? 5, 10? He exhaled. This isn't the time for sarcasm. You called me, I said. You fired me yesterday because the platform was mature and my salary unsustainable. If you want me to fix the problem, you need to start with the truth. He hesitated. On his side of the line, someone muttered something urgent. I heard the muffled thump of footsteps, the echo of a large room. War room acoustics. Fine, he said. We pushed the sync migration. Global. Per board directive. There were unexpected interactions with legacy arbitration. We're seeing overlay drift. Wrong anchors. Some incidents. Incidents, I repeated. You mean accidents. Routing errors. Physical harm. Nothing fatal, he said quickly. Yet I heard in the silence. Users trust Nimbus more than they trust street signs, I said. You built that trust into your brand. You put reality, but better on every billboard. When your system lies, people will walk into traffic. We're throttling navigation, he said. We've pushed a use caution banner. Oh, good, I said. A banner. Must be comforting to the guy in the ICU. Ray. He used my name the way someone uses a key that doesn't quite fit the lock. We need you, he said. You know this system better than anyone. You know where the old layer is still running. You know how the arbitration logic was written. You mean the arbitration logic you overrode to hit your launch date, I said? That was a board-level decision. You signed it. He didn't deny it. For whatever it's worth, he said, buyer regrets letting you go. So do you, I said. Yes. The word came out strangled. I let him sit in it for a moment. This isn't a PR problem, I said. You don't fix this with an apology video and a diversity of models walking through glitch-free cityscapes in your next ad. This is structural. I know. No, I said. You don't. That's why you're in this. You believed the code was finished because the keynote was over. On the TV in the corner of my living room, a commentator was saying the word negligence. Our lawyers think we can contain liability if we move fast, Cade said. If we show we're acting decisively, if we bring you back in to lead a remediation task force, There it is, I said. The story. Bring back the fallen architect. Redemption arc. Good for the stock. Maybe even a docuseries in 3 years. Ray E.T. The answer is no, I said. He went silent. You fired me to make a line on a spreadsheet look cleaner, I said. You pushed a migration I told you not to rush because you wanted to walk onto the next earnings call with a bigger number on the adoption slide. You told the board you didn't need the guy who built the foundation because the house looked finished from the street. You're angry, he said. Angry would mean I still care what you think, I said. I'm past that. What I care about is that you own this. People are going to get hurt if we don't fix this, he said. More than a few delivery riders and misaligned billboards. If regulators intervene, they will, I said. They should. You want Nimbus to die? He asked, incredulous. I want cause and effect to mean something, I said. You made a set of choices. They had predictable consequences. You fired the one person who could have caught them in time because you thought the story was over. This is what over looks like. On the TV, a news ticker scrolled. Nimbus faces regulatory scrutiny. AROS glitches prompt calls for oversight. Cade's voice dropped. If this goes the way you're implying, he said, it's not just me. Thousands of jobs, billions in shareholder value, years of innovation. Don't you dare hide behind the engineers, I said. They warned you. They filed the tickets. They wrote the risk docs. They stayed up all night for 2 years, making your promises real. You built this on their backs and threw them under the bus the moment the numbers scared you. If Nimbus falls, it won't be their fault. You're enjoying this, he said quietly. There was something like awe in his voice. You want to watch us burn. I thought about that. Watching another clip, a woman standing under an AR cross glowing green, while the actual crosswalk signal behind it flashed red. She hesitated, stepped back, shook her head, and ripped the lenses off. "I want people like you to stop thinking reality is something you can beta test in production," I said. "If that takes a very public, very painful lesson, yes, I'm okay with that." Silence stretched. His next words were hoarse. "Is there nothing that would make you help?" "Sure," I said. "Full public admission of responsibility. You, buyer, and Barker signing your names to it. Full access to fix what's broken, with no spin, no lies, and no scapegoating. And when it's stable, you resign, and someone who actually understands limits takes over." He let out a short, bitter laugh. "You know that's impossible." "I know," I said. "So that's it." His voice hardened. "You walk away and watch from the sidelines while everything you built gets torn apart." I looked at the stack of hard drives on my desk, at the framed clipping from the first Nimbus article, where they had called me the quiet architect of a new world. "I'm not walking away," I said. "I already did that. You pushed me. Now I'm just not stepping back in front of the train you set in motion." "You'll regret this," he said. "Not as much as you will," I said. I hung up. Then I sat on the couch and watched, for the first time in my career, as the company I had given a decade of my life to began to die. Slowly, publicly, and exactly the way I had told them it would. Over the next week, Nimbus stopped being a success story and started being a cautionary tale. Regulators opened inquiries in the EU, Korea, and Japan. The phrases systemic negligence and reckless disregard began to appear in official language. Cities that had signed multi-year contracts to integrate Nimbus into public transit AR pulled emergency levers. In Seoul, subway authorities disabled all Nimbus overlays in stations after a misaligned evacuation route pointed commuters toward a sealed tunnel. Advertisers paused campaigns in waves, like surf rolling back from shore. User trust, once a given, evaporated. People posted videos of themselves taking off Nimbus lenses and dropping them into trash cans. Raw reality trended for 2 days. Internally, leaks poured out. Screenshots of my old risk reviews. Snippets of recorded calls where buyer had said, "Regulators are always behind. By the time they catch us, we'll be too big to fail." Emails where Barker had written, "We can't afford a 6-month refactor. We need those users this quarter." Cade went on TV once, jaw tight, eyes sleepless, and called it an unexpected interaction between legacy and new systems. The interviewer held up a copy of one of my slides, leaked to the press, with the title, "Potential Outcomes of Accelerated Global Sync Migration." The bullet points looked eerily like the week's headlines. "Unexpected?" she asked. The clip went viral. From my apartment, from cafes, from Olivia's office, I watched every stage denial, minimization, deflection. "We're listening, we're learning. This isn't who we are." Users were not interested in who they believed themselves to be. They were interested in crosswalks that told the truth. Nimbus's stock chart looked like a ski slope. At first, it was almost physically painful to see. I could still feel the weight of the cardboard box in my hands. I could smell the server rooms, hear the laughter at 2 Nip. Over takeout containers. Remember the first time an AR overlay had locked perfectly on a moving train window and stayed put? This was my work, my code. My fingerprints were everywhere. And then slowly that feeling twisted into something else. I saw the faces in the executive rows. I heard Cade's voice saying, "The platform is mature." I imagined buyer telling the board, "The architect is replaceable. The vision is not." And every time another headline appeared, another regulator, another lawsuit, another story about someone nearly stepping into traffic because Nimbus told them the street was clear, I felt less like I was watching a tragedy and more like I was watching physics. Cause, effect. They had believed they fired a cost center. What they actually fired was the last person in the room willing to scream that the bridge wasn't finished. Now they were crossing it at full speed. And the drop below was getting longer every day. 6 months later, I woke up without an alarm for the first time in I don't know how many years. No buzzing phone on the nightstand. No red incident P1 banner on the lock screen. No Slack pings at 3:07 Nip. Demanding that reality be stitched back together before the markets open. Just morning light spilling across the ceiling and the distant sound of a city that, for once, didn't need me to keep it standing. I lay there for a moment, listening to my own breathing. I was still here. Nimbus wasn't. Not the Nimbus I had given my 20s and most of my 30s to anyway. The too big to fail OS was still technically alive. It had been carved up like a bankrupt cruise ship, assets stripped, brand licensed, a handful of teams, absorbed by a cautious conglomerate that took one look at the sync stack and decided to keep it in quarantine. There was still a logo. There were still servers. Somewhere, some poor bastard was still on call. But the cult was gone. The arrogance. The belief that they were history's protagonists and the rest of the world was a supporting cast. And me, I had finally stopped being their ghost. My apartment looked different now. The wall that used to be dominated by Nimbus paraphernalia launch badges, conference lanyards, framed headlines was bare except for a single photograph. A blurry, badly framed shot of 6 exhausted people in a tiny co-working space, half asleep over laptops and pizza boxes. The early days. Before the funding rounds, the advisors, the chairman, the glossy videos. Before the story got away from us. The other wall was new whiteboards and pinned sketches for something else entirely. Synaptica. Not an operating system. Not a platform trying to own reality. Just a tool set. A series of small, sharp instruments meant to make people a little more powerful and a little less owned. Olivia had put it this way the first night we sketched it out on a napkin. "You built a cathedral for a man who wanted a palace," she said. "This time, let's build pocket knives for everyone else." We kept that line on the wall for weeks. Breakfast used to be coffee in a paper cup swallowed on the way from the subway to the office, stomach tight with whatever disaster the dashboard would show. Now it was slower. Coffee I ground myself. Toast I didn't eat at my desk. Emails that were mostly from people I had actually chosen to work with. No HR templates. No board guidance. No calendar invite with a subject line that felt like a bullet. My phone flashed a notification while I buttered the toast. Nimbus ex-CEO Cade Reynolds issued 5-year industry ban. I didn't click. I already knew the shape of the story regulators, settlements, heavily edited statements about learning from this experience. I had watched that movie enough times. I didn't need the director's cut. Instead, I opened a different link, a user forum where people were sharing Synaptica clips. A kid in Manila had used our voice synthesis engine to give his grandmother's handwritten recipes a spoken narration, her own voice, modeled from old voicemails, talking a new generation through their first attempts at a dish. A teacher in Sao Paulo had used our adaptive language tool to build a bilingual reading aid for her students, toggling smoothly between Portuguese and English, letting kids tap a phrase and hear it explained without being thrown out to a dozen predatory ad sites. Nothing magical, nothing that would make a venture capitalist pulse race on a pitch deck slide. But these people sounded grateful. Not addicted, not trapped. Grateful. I took a bite of toast and felt something in my chest unclench a little more. The office, such as it was a single sunlit floor in a building that would have made Nimbus's real estate team laugh. No lobby waterfall, no branded scent, no 20-foot LED wall playing our logo on loop. Just polished concrete, plants that stubbornly refused to die, and a handful of desks scattered like islands. We didn't have a reception desk. We barely had a reception. If you walked in and didn't belong, someone would lift their head from a laptop and ask, "Hey, can I help you?" in a tone that assumed you were human, not a security risk. Olivia was already there when I arrived, sneakers up on the corner of her standing desk, frowning at a dashboard. "You're late," she said without looking up. "It's 9:30, I said. "We start at 10. "We start when things are on fire," she said. "Speaking of good morning, nothing is on fire." She spun her screen toward me. Synaptica usage graph. Upward. Gradual. No sudden hockey stick. No unnatural plateau. Not explosive, not viral, not hypergrowth. Just steady. Asia-Pacific cluster held overnight, she said. No latency spikes. No weird abuse patterns. We had one attempt to weaponize the voice morphing in a harassment campaign, but the filters caught it and kicked the account before it spread. I studied the curves. The thing about trauma is that it rewires your eyes. My brain still wanted to look for the place where everything went catastrophically wrong. "How many calls?" I asked. 3, she said. 1 bug report, 1 feature request, and 1 high school principal asking if we can do a volume discount. "That last one sounds dangerous." "Yes," she said. "School budgets terrify me more than regulators." I walked to the whiteboard and looked at the architecture diagram, marker lines layered from months of iteration. There were scars in it if you knew where to look. Places where Nimbus had gone one way and we had deliberately gone the other. No global own everything layer. No mandatory ID tied to physical location. No black box trust us sync logic. Everything pluggable. Everything inspectable. Every decision to store something on our side had a big obnoxious comment in the code explaining why. We even paid people to argue with us about it. Olivia uncapped a marker and leaned beside me. You slept, she asked. Mostly, I said. Nightmares? Just one, I said. It was about a rule engine deciding that, due to engagement metrics, I had to attend my own funeral twice a week. So regression tests, she said. Makes sense. I laughed despite myself. This was the thing I hadn't understood fully at Nimbus. You don't have to earn your right to exist with constant suffering. You get to laugh. You get to leave an office and not take it home in your spine. You get to build things without burning yourself as fuel. In the afternoons, I still wrote code. People assumed that once you had been chief anything, you stopped touching the keyboard. That you floated above the details, issuing technical vision like commandments from a mountain. Nimbus had encouraged that. Cade had loved saying things like, Ray will bless this, or Ray will block this, as if I were some kind of human gatekeeper. Here, there was no blessing. Just review, conversation, pull requests that came back covered in thoughtful comments, sometimes contradicting mine. It was humbling in the best way. Hey, said Maya, one of our senior engineers, rolling her chair over to my desk. You see the feedback from the disability rights group? Not yet, I said. Good, bad, ugly? Complicated, she said. They like the adaptive speech pacing, but they're worried about how easy it is to clone voices. They want a hardware-level confirmation for critical identity use. Something you can't just script around. Physical token, I asked? Yeah, Hamewam. Or biometric. But that opens its own can of problems. I nodded slowly. At Nimbus, the conversation would have gone like this. Sounds complex. Will it hurt growth? Can we ship without it and add it later if regulators complain? Here it went differently. Okay, I said. Let's invite them to a design session. Maya blinked. Like this week? Yeah, Hamewam. If they're going to live with it, they should help define it. She hesitated. You're aware that's going to slow us down. I'm aware it'll make us better, I said. Fast and wrong is what got Nimbus where it is. She watched my face for a moment, then nodded. All right, she said. I'll set it up. She started to roll away, then turned back. By the way, she said, my roommate says thanks. The tool you built? The one that retimes speech for people with processing issues? She used it in class. She cried afterward. I swallowed. I'm glad, I said. Don't get weird about it, she said lightly. Just keep doing what you're doing. She pushed off, leaving me staring at my own cursor, blinking in the editor. It's a strange thing, realizing that the long-term impact of your work might not be a market cap number or a headline, but a stranger in a classroom feeling less broken, strange, and better. Every few weeks, Nimbus wandered back into my life, like a damaged satellite crossing the night sky. A push alert about buyer's plea agreement. An article about a class action settlement fund. A podcast dissecting what went wrong with AR's Great Hope, where my name came up like a ghost in the foundation. Sometimes people tagged me in threads. Sometimes journalists sent quick question emails asking if I wanted to go on the record. Sometimes ex-Nimbus engineers asked if they could send me their resumes. I rarely replied to the first two. I always replied to the third. We hired some. Not all. I had promised myself I wouldn't recreate the old world. I wasn't going to build another overgrown, over-leveraged behemoth. But the people who came over, they were different. The ones who had left early, who had burned out, who had refused to fake metrics or spin bugs into features. They walked into our small, messy office like someone emerging from rehab. I keep waiting for the part where you tell me to work through the weekend, one of them said after her first week. We don't ship faster if you hate your life, I said. At Nimbus we did, she said. Yeah, I said. And look how that turned out. She smiled for the first time. The first real sign that my life had shifted came on a day that, on paper, looked trivial. Sunny, cool, nothing dramatic about it. No big launch. No investor meeting. Just a dentist appointment. At Nimbus, I had skipped 5 years of routine care because there was always a critical sprint, always a can't-miss review, always something that would collapse if I wasn't there to hold it up. Today, I clicked accept on the calendar notification, closed my laptop at 3 and told Olivia, I'm heading out. She looked up. Everything okay, she asked. Yeah, I said. I'm going to let someone drill holes in my teeth on purpose. Self-care, she said solemnly. Proud of you. Try not to set anything on fire while I'm gone. No promises. I stepped out into the sunlight with my shoulders relaxed, not hunched. Halfway down the block, my phone buzzed. For a split second, my body reacted the old way, heart rate up, hand tightening around the device, a flash of preemptive guilt. Then I saw the notification. Synaptica community milestone 1 million active creative sessions. No stock chart, no press release. Just a quiet internal badge we had set up for ourselves. A small celebration of people making things. I stood on the sidewalk watching cars pass and thought about the first time I had seen a million next to anything I had built. Back then, the dominant feeling had been fear. What if it breaks? What if it's wrong? What if someone gets hurt and it's my fault? Now the word felt lighter. Not because the responsibility was less real, but because we had built our systems on different promises. We hadn't told the world, trust us with everything. We had said, here, take this. Keep most of the power on your side. If it failed, they wouldn't fall into a hole we had dug underneath them. They would just close a tab, curse at us, and try again later. The scale of the harm and the scale of the benefit were finally in proportion. It felt like sanity. That night, after the dentist and a dinner that didn't come from a delivery app's office favorites list, I sat on my balcony with a beer in my laptop. The city sounded different from up here than it had from Nimbus's offices. Less like a stage we were supposed to conquer, more like a place full of individual lives we were lucky not to screw up. I opened an old folder I hadn't looked at in months. Nimbus Archive Personal. Risk reviews. Email threads. Screenshots. I had kept them as insurance, as proof, as a shield. Tonight I scrolled through them with a new kind of distance. There was 28-year-old me, writing in too formal language about failure modes I could see so clearly in my head that I barely slept. There was 31-year-old me, fighting for a slower rollout and getting sidelined in roadmap meetings. There was 35-year-old me, sitting in a glass-walled room, being told that the system was mature and my role was legacy. And there was me now, not vindicated, not triumphant, just elsewhere. I thought about deleting the archive. I didn't. Not yet. Some scars you keep, not because you want to reopen them, but because they remind you how not to walk back into the same fire. I closed the folder and opened another. Synaptica, Roadmap, Wild Ideas. A list of things we might never build. Experiments, half-jokes, impossible dreams. Tools for artists in places without stable power. Offline first knowledge packs that didn't phone home. Story engines that could help someone write the thing they'd been too afraid to try. I added a new line. Teach a generation of engineers that success doesn't require sacrificial burnout. I stared at it for a second, then added, and make sure I don't forget that either. From inside the apartment, my phone buzzed again. A message from Marcus. Just saw another What Killed Nimbus article. They still don't get it. None of them talk about the meetings where we said no and got overruled. Anyway, just wanted to say I'm glad you're out. I'm interviewing at a place that feels better. Learn that from you. We'll report back. I typed back. Don't pick anyone who says we're a family. Pick the ones who say we're trying not to be a cult. He replied with a laughing emoji and a got it. I put the phone down. For a long time, I had defined a better life as an absence, no crises, no humiliations, no one with power deciding I was disposable. Now, sitting there above the city I no longer felt responsible for, I realized it was something else. A better life was presence, of people who told you the truth, of work that didn't demand you erase yourself, of systems designed to hold, not just to extract. Nimbus had given me a front row seat to how ugly tech could get when power outran conscience. The rest of my life, I decided, could be about the opposite. I took a breath, tasted the night air, and opened a fresh document. Not a risk review, not a resignation letter, not a defensive archive, a new spec for a new feature in a product that for the first time in a very long time felt like it might be worthy of the people who used it. I started to type. I wasn't saving a company anymore. I was just living and building. And this time that was enough.